Let's just start here. Men are not protectors, not by nature, not by default, and definitely not in practice. And if you're already offended, close the tab. This isn't for you.
I wouldn't really say that I'm offended, as much as I'm greatly confused by what your objective here is. Is your ultimate goal to suggest that women should exercise, condition their fists, learn how to carry a firearm, learn how to carry weaponry, and defend themselves? If so, I think we'd be in complete agreement. Screw it. Let women face men in hand-to-hand combat if they're so deathly afraid of being harmed by them. Because if that's not what your objective is, then I'm greatly confused as to why you would ever fearmonger to women to be afraid of men. Not bad men, but men. Because apparently you don't seem to understand the concept of good and evil.
I am not here to argue with men in the comments trying to win some imagery point on a scoreboard that does not even exist. Go spit in the wind.
Well, God forbid men be able to defend their existence as not being wicked demonic creatures. Can't have that.
What I'm saying today is not opinion, it is data, and it is lived experience.
And the reality of women who are protected by men is irrelevant.
Dating reality is just another way to delay change, which, let's be honest, is men's whole point.
I don't really know how to respond to that, to be quite honest with you. I guess I don't know. Even evil men have a desire to their own ends and their own will to power, as much as good men would as well. So the idea that no one wants anything to change is just so bizarre to me.
So for the women watching, this one's for you. Let's talk about the myth of men as protectors, where it came from, who it serves, and why clinging to it is keeping us all totally unsafe. The idea that men are protectors didn't actually just appear out of nowhere. It is a story that has been passed down forever.
Well, I wouldn't say just a story, but through vocations as well? All the way back from knights, and samurais, and guards, and even just shepherds over a flock. Even a shepherd protecting his flock from coyotes and wolves. Not even a great trained warrior, just a guy with his sheep. Guy and his sheep. Just a guy with a stick. He has a stick. He might have a golden retriever maybe. Well, I don't know if golden retrievers existed that far back in the history. But men still shepherd their farms even to this day, so guess it really doesn't matter. I'm just greatly confused how we have multiple examples of how men are protectors, but then you think that they're not. It's just kind of, you don't even think a father would protect his child? My ninja. There's a story of a dude that ran into a flaming building to save his twin daughters when his mom and his baby mother ran out of the building. They were in the building with the children. They left. He ran in to save. But you know what? N equals 1. He's just one random nigga who did it. So, you know what? Continue.
Through religion, through pop culture, through fairy tales, through family systems, men are the soldiers, the knights, the head of households with strong arms around the weaker sex, right?
But you gotta be kidding me on this one, my friend. You can't explain the different vocations that are quite literally that of protecting other people. Even soldiers protect each other on the battlefield, right? And then be all like, but men, they were the protectors. Not naturally, not in society. I'm going to explain all the vocations where they were protectors, but they weren't protectors. And that makes sense. That makes sense. I don't know how it makes sense, but it makes sense.
Women, we're fragile, emotional, dependent. We need shelter. We need guarding.
Well, to some degree. I mean, granted, does that explain every woman? No. Is it fair to think of women as invalid creatures that have no will to power? No. Is it fair to think of women as, again, mentally slow or stupid or incapable of existing in a world? No. But women do, quite literally, have less bone mass, less muscle density, softer skin, and a lack of a predilection to engage physically and, well, anything. Now, that doesn't mean that there is no woman that doesn't have some sufficient degree of strength and a willingness to use it. Doesn't mean that. However, overwhelmingly, women are small, soft, weak-boned, weak-muscled humans. And to be quite honest with you, there really ain't anything wrong with that. It's just how it is. I mean, that's just what they are. It's just what they are. If you decide to think that you should harm them because of that, there's something wrong with you. And if you're a woman and you think there's something wrong with that, there's something wrong with you. This is what you are. Now, whether you do anything good or bad with it, that is morality, which apparently our friend here seems to completely lack any concept of, but we'll get to it.
I'm Lisa Sunny. I'm an expert in abusive and toxic relationships.
Oh, no. Continue.
4 books, and I've spoken all over the world on domestic violence, abuse, and healing. So hit subscribe because I expose the truth about abuse and abusive men. Okay, but who exactly were men ever protecting us from? That's the ironic part, right? Other men. This is the part they always skip.
No, it isn't. Even John Cannon, all the way over on TikTok, says that the reason why he carries a gun is not because he's worried about women. Shoot, even myself, when I learned hand-to-hand combat over the years, I never once imagined fighting a woman. It was always in preparation to fight other men. Like, men understand that in almost every situation, since the time they were children, like I myself, since the time I was a child, I understood that physicality and physical danger was a part of my existence. Since the time I was a child, I understood that. My friend, this is what I don't get about this nonsensory here. Like, I just don't get, like, I don't understand this. You are an expert, but you don't seem to have any understanding of, like, men as people and human beings that exist in time and space. There is no world where men skip over the idea that we fight other men, you muppet. It's strewn about in so many aspects of the stories we create and the lives we live. My ninja, niggas spend so much time trying to figure out different demarcation lines from race to class to fandom to just the nigga has different shoes to figure out a reason to dislike and then engage in combat with them. What the flip are you talking about? How did you go through life this far and believing that at any point in time we as men don't understand that we have to fight other men?
Men created the danger and then appointed themselves as the solution.
What are these niggas, syndrome? Did you just get done watching The Incredibles?
That's not protection. That's a hostage situation, but it has better PR.
Well, I mean, it would only be a hostage situation if a woman's in an abusive It's almost like you have one filter and you just see the whole world through that one filter. You just completely disregard everything else about existence.
Let's even call this hero syndrome. I want to look at the numbers, okay? Not to make it fair, but to make it real. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 3 women globally have experienced physical or sexual violence.
Well, from who? I guess we can imply it's from males, but technically speaking, what you said doesn't necessitate that it was males. But based on the context of the conversation, we would say that 1 out of 3 women, to some degree, were engaged in hand-to-hand combat with a male, to some extent. Sure, I guess.
And 81% of the time, it's from an intimate partner.
So you mean to tell me that these women selected these men? You mean that these women didn't have to be with those men, but through all of their different choices in life, the whole backstory to their existence that got them to this point where they selected that man and then he went on to commit violence towards her. She selected that man. Now, in the whole arc of this story, where that woman selected that man, you then take that bad man she selected and you want to splash him onto all of the men she didn't pick? Miss me. Politely. I would greatly appreciate it if you did so.
A man. The UN reported that in 2021, 47,000 women were unalived by a partner or a family member. Do you realize that is one woman every 11 minutes? And most of them were killed in their own homes?
So I guess that would mean it would be her mother picked her father. So it's still a woman picked that man. I guess brothers are also family members too, to be fair.
Now, in the US, over 96% of people who commit sexual violence are male.
Yeah, but how many men do it? Like, relative to the population, how many men actually are committing it? Because, technically speaking, statistically, right, if you had 10 people who committed sexual assault, and 9 of those people were men, you would be able to say, well, statistically speaking, 90% of the people who commit sexual assault are men. But what you neglected was that was 10 people. 10 people. Now the world is filled, well, America is filled with 352 million people. So even if we bump that up to 12,000 people committed sexual assault at any point in time in 1 year in America, literally, you do the math on what percentage of the population that would be. I'll wait. And once you determine that, I want you to come back here with a straight face and explain to me how that percentage is a reflection of the majority when it statistically by fucking definition would not be.
In Canada, 44% of women report experiencing intimate partner violence. In the UK, women are twice as likely as men to be victims of domestic abuse.
You know, the problem that I kind of have here is, as much as my heart goes out to these women, I'm just greatly confused as to, like, you do understand that these women somehow selected these men. They picked these men and a lineup of all the men from Hinge to Tinder to Bumble to OkCupid to just the niggas who came up in the gas station to niggas that would talk to them at the cash register at Starbucks. Somehow they picked that man. Now, unless you break down how a woman gets into a relationship like this does not actually negate the cultural understanding and the cultural raising that overwhelmingly we as males are baked into, that we protect women. Quite ironically, even my suggestion that women select these men is still an example of me trying to protect women. How so, you ask? Despite it not feeling this way, if you have the power to pick these men, that means you can completely avoid them. And if you can completely avoid them, then you have to then gain the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom of what the telltale signs of individuals of such caliber are. But if you pretend that there's no way to know who these bad niggas are, which that's just not true, by the way, then you're the one that's putting yourself in danger or putting yourself in the lottery you don't have to exist in. So even in my disdain for this whole message, I'm still actually protecting women. I'm still doing it. You may not like how it feels, but I'm still trying to tell that if you have the power to pick out these people in a lineup, don't pick them. Don't do it. Fuck them. Fuck these men. Don't pick them. See?
So the next time somebody says, men protect women, ask them, protect us from who?
The answer, plain and simple, my dear, are bad men. See how easy it was to answer that?
But I want to talk about one of the most common things that I hear, right? Men protect what's theirs. You can't expect men to protect women they don't know.
You could argue that women are unsafe because they refuse to adhere to the wisdom of the men that are trying to protect them. See, a lot of women, I don't understand why, but it doesn't click to their brain. I don't really get it. I don't know if it's a lack of maturity. I don't know if they refuse to grow up, if they want to remain children, but they don't grasp that wisdom exists to protect you. And if someone tells you to not do a thing that they think is bad, they're trying to protect you. So even if you disagree that the thing is bad, even if you say, I'll take safety precautions from the bad thing, the person telling you not to do something is trying to protect you. So even if it isn't a physical altercation or a goddamn Beyblade battle, if I say, don't date a man like that, that is me protecting you. That's what I'm doing. That is protection. You may not like the way it feels because you want to get stroked down by that bad man, but if I say, don't do it with the bad man, and you do it anyway, nigga!
Toss that out like it's noble, right? It proves they've got this built-in moral compass, but actually what it proves is ownership. You're not saying that women deserve safety. You're saying that women get safety if they belong to you.
No, and to be fair to our lady here, she is correct. One, I don't really believe, technically speaking, women deserve safety, because I don't think anyone deserves safety. Deserve implies that it's something that you're owed or something granted. And I do apologize, but you're not. Bad people exist in the world, and you got to learn how to fight them. It's a lesson I learned when I was but a wee little child. I was a wee little babe. I was a kid. I was a child when I learned that lesson. So as a grown-ass man, case in point, right now, the fact that I'm saying that the world does not owe you safety is still me trying to protect you. It's built in. I can't even not do it. I can't even not do it. It's so built into me, which is why this whole thing is just so insane to me. Even if I say, shift your mindset and gear it towards an understanding that bad people are there and that you have to protect yourself or you have to figure out a way to avoid them and take heed to the wisdom that I'm granting to you, is still me trying to protect you. Anyway, continue.
A man in my comment section quite literally said, men protect what they own. My wife, my kids. He said, own.
Yeah, but that's because of a societal disillusionment of all those different things that you brought up earlier before, if you remember. So, really, it's not a lack of desire for men to do it, it's a lack of ability to do so in a reasonable, legal way, or in a socially acceptable way, so to speak. Particularly like in areas in New York, where like you can attempt to be a good Samaritan and still get sued by the person you ironically protected, or by the state itself. Now, I don't know the full details of how that works, but there are many such cases and stories, and maybe it's more complex than that, but the fact remains that ultimately what they're trying to get to the heart of is that they will protect those they have been deemed are acceptable to protect, because trying to help women outside of that paradigm can get you into a lot of trouble, if not just dead and then unappreciated by the woman you tried to protect.
He said it out loud. That's not protection, right? That's property management.
Technically, that's not mutually exclusive. Technically.
So I want to be honest, right? When that property acts out, when that property disagrees or leaves, that's when the danger skyrockets. Lose the control, that real man shows up. Real talk, you know how many women have been told, I only get this way because I love you. That's not love. That is fear, and it's dressed up like a promise. Protection, like real protection, it doesn't feel like walking on eggshells, and it doesn't show up as jealousy and tracking your location and controlling who you talk to or deciding what you wear. I just need to know where you are all the time to keep you safe. That's why I have your location on, but you don't have mine because I don't need your protection, right? That's a cage.
Well, I mean, these men are notorious for being manipulative, right? So if they manipulate their victim into thinking that this is something that is far more romantic or sexier or exciting or whatever the flip it is, if they are able to manipulate that aspect of their relationship with the woman, well, again, it just highlights that they're an evil person, right? They're
Of mine because I don't need your protection, right? That's a cage.
Yeah, but again, wouldn't that be the indication that, again, you're dealing with a dubious, manipulative person? They ask that of which they will not give. To be fair, if you're a lady watching, Ding, 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 right there. That right there at that moment, right? Game, set, match. And I find it quite fascinating, like in the world of all these different icks, all these different nasty little frivolous things that I see so many ladies just discount a man for. Someone asks that which they will not return. Look, these types of videos annoy me quite greatly because they don't really help to heal. They don't help bridge the gap. All it does is just produce more fear and anguish. You have to understand the difference between good and evil. You can't continue on this classism because all you're left with is just fear and paranoia as a woman. And a lot of women don't understand this. They not only do they not understand good versus evil, but they don't understand that if you set up a framework where only your sexual desire and perfection leads you into trusting a man, you've already been defeated. You're not only just playing a lottery where you're just hoping someone you find attractive works out in a relationship with you, but you're also not taking his character into true regard, especially if you only regard his character in relation to how he treats you and not how he treats the broader world around you. It's part of the reason why I greatly dislike the concept of romance as I get older, but also because it really pulls away and it really denigrates the complexity and the beauty that is, humans in general. And particularly on this side of things, men. As a woman, you don't ever really get to experience the true fullness of being able to be with a good man because you're constantly being propagandized all of this maliciousness, all of this cruelty. And all this is, no offense to the lady, is her cognitive bias or her hurt feelings, legitimately, just pumping more vitriol out into the world. The truth of the matter is, yes, there's evil people in the world. And what's ironic and sad is that a lot of women end up being with those awful men. They will date and have relationships and have children with those awful men. The solution to that is not to say men aren't protectors. That's nonsensical. The solution to that is to recognize what are the traits and qualities in the stories that creates these abusive outcomes and create these abusive environments. And how can I then choose and select better people or wiser males or good young men around me as which I do not end up in that situation? And that, my friend, may not feel sexy and romantic and it may not give you the spark, but here's what it is: protection. This is another form of the way men protect women. And sure, it's not a sword, and sure, it's not a gun, and sure, it's not me fighting the big bad man who groped you or something, but it is me trying to make sure you don't do bad things and get yourself in that bad position. That is male protection. It comes in many different forms. But if you don't take a moment to recognize the complexity of us as men, then all you see are the fact that a lot of women were abused by intimate partners, and that's true. But just because those men were not protectors does not mean that, one, as males we're not overwhelmingly socialized to do so, number one. But number two, also doesn't mean that there aren't innate desires and drives in some men, especially men within families, that want to keep the people around them safe. And what we saw was a bastardization of that part of man, and that evil part of man, that corrupted part of man, where they wish to maintain their ownership over something. But there is still the goodness of a man that wishes for the edification and the peace of the people around them, right? Again, I see very many people lambaste Christianity all the time, but Paul commanded a husband to love his wife, like Christ loved the church, which is an ideal of sacrifice. It's an ideal of selflessness. It is an ideal of protection. It's the ideal of giving your life for the sake of someone else. And so, again, there's this, I see people lambaste Christianity all the time, and they don't look at the fullness and the goodness that is in, the beauty of many different scriptures. And this is one of them, right? If you're a woman and you focus on what a man like that would be, that is also going to help protect you. But if you give in to your passions, my friend, we can't help you. And I say this a lot as an individual that has had many female friends select these men against my counsel. I've tried. It's been against my counsel. Some of my frustration is a bit personal because I had to watch these women suffer. They had the knowledge. They refused. And so my hope here, honestly, right, is one, just to cook that nonsense, but two, to show you guys, again, even in my frustration, even in my disdain, even in my annoyance, there's still a protective nature in my commentary and the commentary of very many men, overwhelmingly. It may not feel like it, but like Kevin Samuels would say sometimes, it's like medicine. Yeah, it tastes bitter. Yeah, you don't like it, but ultimately it's going to heal you. What I'm saying is that you have the power to understand and determine the evil men who will abuse you and the good men who will love you. And if you don't know, then say you don't know. We'll figure out a way to figure that shit out together. But with that being said, I just hope you guys got something out of today's video. And if you did, I don't know, man, go and click the like button. And shoot, go and click the subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon.